On that note, we are now going to pass over to Marianne Kennedy from A Taste of South Australia. How are you, Marianne?
Very well, thanks, John.
Take it away.
It's very cold here, though. I don't know if you've heard. It's probably about 4 degrees this morning, so it's freezing. For Adelaide, anyway.
Well, thank you for coming in so early in the morning.
That's all right. It's a pleasure. So, we've got 30 people. Welcome, everybody. I hope to catch up with you in the States soon, for those that I don't know, and for those that I do. Hello, and I hope life is good for all of you. So my business is A Taste of South Australia, and I've been doing tours now for 22 years. So I know that I don't look that old. There's me. Oh, maybe that I was a couple of years younger then, maybe. But so basically my background was that I had worked in international hotels, and then I had studied wine. I came back home to South Australia and decided to do what I love, good food and wine, and began doing the tours. So with that, wine and food is my focus, and so we do a lot of specialty wine tours into the wine areas, and with 60% of wine coming from South Australia, it's a major focus. But during that time, you start to speak to more and more people, and as Regina told you, there's so many hidden secrets in and around Adelaide and out into the regions that we want to incorporate those as well. And the more that I travel and the more that I meet your guests, we realise just how diverse people's travel experiences are, and I can't even generalise now about what I would say Americans love. You know, there's a few things, but generally everyone's point of difference and what interests them changes all the time. So over this time, I have developed quite a few different tours, from, as we said, 1 to 7 days, as it says up there. Sometimes we have a scheduled daily departure, which, as you can see below, with 4 shared tours. And what has happened is where many of you tell me, why don't you, have you thought about, and we've started to incorporate those, and that's when people start to become more familiar, like most recently adding the Adelaide Hills, the Taste of Adelaide and Adelaide Hills. And as Regina said, there's so many little highlights in and around the city. So we, more often than not, will tailor-make. Nearly every second tour we do, the agents like yourselves are coming through to us and saying, these people are art collectors, or they're very much into heritage, or they want to go shooting, or some weird and wonderful thing. As you know, you never know what people are going to ask you for. So we've developed a lot of those. Also, obviously, wildlife is a big part of it. And up into the hills, you can walk up or drive up into the hills and see koalas in the wild. So I know that Kangaroo Island is obviously a main focus for that. But like yesterday, I was up in the hills and we saw koalas in the wild, and we also saw kangaroos just on the side of the road as well too. So it's 20 minutes out of the city. With the city, Regina then started to touch on some of the highlights in and around the city. And for a long time, Adelaide has been underdeveloped as far as the walking and the hidden secrets. And so we've developed some tours focusing on the food, but also some of those historic and cultural aspects of the city. I'll go through some that we, like yesterday, for example, we discovered or went all through the East End, which was the old market garden areas. And there's lots of sort of little art communities that have set up there, and art installations, and just sort of interesting bits about the history when the first settlers came here, and we went into Ayers House and into the Botanic Gardens with little bizarre things like an ode to Elvis. There's the Elvis Society of Adelaide that set up a monument to Elvis, and beautiful old palm houses. In front of us you can see what Adelaide is about. It's that old architecture that Regina's family has encompassed, plus the contemporary of the new city behind, and you can see the green belt all around the city and with the hills just surrounding it as well too. So just you can see how close it all is. So where possible, we incorporate a lot of these different aspects, plus extending it in ways that obviously towards Melbourne and the Great Ocean Road, which incorporates the Coonawarra, into the coast and into the outback, like with up into the Flinders. Now, this is around the East End. This was my aunt's hotel. So when we were kids in the country, we'd come and stay here. But you can see an idea of the beautiful old architecture. This used to have beautiful spiral staircases all through. Now it's a sort of a hip bar and with live music. But we twisted all around the back of there yesterday, ending up in a chocolate cafe and also looking through Ayers House and feeding the ducks and doing all different sorts of things. And festivals and the culture of the city, people are often underestimate. Now, they think that they'll come in, maybe have a night in Adelaide and then head over to Kangaroo Island, and they really are missing out on some of the little hidden secrets that people are surprised about when they learn. So again, back to this idea of the architecture with the old, beautiful old design and up against the modern. Now again, Regina showed you on the map the central markets right in the centre of the city. So we do tours that incorporate that. Even our day tours that go out into the wine country, I ring everybody the night before and get a sense of where they're coming from. Oftentimes they might have seen nothing of the city, or they might have already had a day exploring, but we might then take them up into North Adelaide and look at the beautiful architecture that much of it I've learnt from Regina, going through with architectural people to get a good sense of that history, but also you can really see our food culture, and we do things with the markets, but also through that central part of the city as well too, even on the walking tours. Food and wine, as I said, this is a big part of what we do. 60% of wine comes from South Australia, so it is really a main focus for us. We also have more restaurants per head of capita than anywhere in Australia, so I find it almost too hard to not talk about food and wine to people. So with our 4 daily departure tours, the Best of the Barossa is definitely the most well known. Probably the point of difference is that we ring everybody the night before, so you really do get a good sense. So we'll chat with Regina and the different accommodations that people use in and around the city. But Barossa, we try to get a sense of the German heritage, plus we look at some of the beautiful old wineries, quite large ones that people have heard of, often Penfolds, and names like that that are important to people, but also it's some of the cutting edge and new ones. And when you look at Wine Spectator, which many people do, the top 5 are coming out of the Barossa Valley. So you've got places like Two Hands that's #2, and I think next year they'll be #1 in Wine Spectator of wines of the world. So we've got some very important wine operators, and I've studied wine, so many of these are my friends, so we can call out and get more special services and behind the scenes when we need to. Vintners, always written up in Fodor's as one of the best restaurants in Australia. And so we will do often as a base a 2-course, but I will often change it too. If someone said, you know, there's something particular that they really want to do, or they'd love to sit outside, or for them it's all about seeing as many wineries as possible, we can tailor it accordingly. And visiting bakeries, etc. And always it's about the experience of the wine guides. We work with the Guiding Association, and we're training new guides, and we want to offer the services that people are not going to come away and feel, oh, that was fine, but you know, the guide was lovely, but they didn't have any knowledge, and that's what we really sort of pride ourselves in.